I'm Emily Fraser. I'm the creator of the Hicks and Draconis tabletop role-playing game and the Gallery tabletop role-playing game, and this has been some short previews of Gallery chapters as they come out so that you know what to expect when you pick up the book. Right now we're going to cover the foreword, which is a section after the initial first two sections in the book that cover kind of context and location and setting a little bit to kind of get you grounded in the space, and let you know what kind of headspace you're supposed to be in, and give you some idea of what's in the environment. The foreword is the only section of the book that I, as the author, speak to you as the reader directly. It doesn't have anything to do with system or setting. It has to do with concept and the reason why the book exists. And it also is there to kind of like show certain readers that they're seen and affirm that the stories that this kind of seems like it's trying to get you to tell are actually the stories that it's trying to get you to tell. Um, this is a deeply queer book. This is a book that was written specifically to tell queer life stories, not specifically about sexuality, although certainly that can be included, but more about the kind of ecstatic and horrifying experiences that come with things like sexual freedom and gender expression and transition and bodily autonomy and the active pursuit of equality and things like surviving religious trauma, families that have abandoned you, familial abandonment rather, and body horror and depression and all sorts of things that come with being something that sits outside the normal and accepted. And it is kind of a dirty, gritty thing. It is a story, a system, and a setting intended to allow you to tell stories about the hard parts. I think that there's a lot of brilliant systems out there that highlight the amazing beauty of the queer existence, and for them I am very thankful. And this one can also do that in many a euphoric way. But it has I write a lot of horror for people who have followed me for a long time. That aspect is a part of my life. And I think that aspect is a part of many lives, especially lives that have kind of gone through situations where they themselves do not sit in what society has accepted as normal and correct. It is a difficult thing to be a monster, and I think Gallery is intended to allow those monsters to have a voice. Um, I say with all the affection in the world as one who is often seen that way. The concepts that are covered here can be rather difficult. The idea is that this system promotes those conversations as opposed to making it so that you have to kind of force them in at a table that might not necessarily want to hear them. Um, they have the floor here. This is where they are intended to be spoken of. As it's written here, the hope here is to create an environment that normalizes discomfort and lets those who have lived in it demonstrate how navigating it feels rather than normalizing comfort and forcing those who are not to insist on discomfort's inclusion. Um, I want to make sure that this space gives people a voice to talk about the stories of things that they've had to do or endure in their existences that are not necessarily pretty. But they need to be said and need to be listened to, and much is to be learned from it. And many parts of that kind of almost kind of macabre story are quite beautiful and really amazing, really educational, really revealing of a person. And I think those conversations are very powerful as someone who has led and been in many of them. Gallery is here for those conversations. The monsters, the factions, the creatures, the characters in this space are not necessarily going to have those things written in big bold print, but they are designed to be a toolbox so that when you reach to tell those stories, you have something that reflects the feelings that you might have experienced while you went through them. And as much as I know that it is possible to tell these narratives in other systems like D&D or anything like that, you're usually having to grab something that was not necessarily intended to be built for that and manipulate it in such a way and then put it down in front of a table of people who may or may not even be tolerant of hearing it or be like, you're looking too far into this, or this isn't what I'm here for. You don't have to include all these things in a gallery story, but it is what it's here for. It is here to tell these stories, and you are not reaching too far to try to include them. It wants to be able to go dark. It wants to be able to expound upon a life put together from broken nerves and the shattered shell of an existence. It is about finding yourself and living freely. as a being that is kind of different from the things around it. The second page on this little two-page, like four-paragraph blurb is talking a little bit about making sure that you've discussed with your party what's going to happen, what stories are going to be told, expanding on the idea that you are not obligated to be at a table you're comfortable at, but also you cannot hold back a table that wants to explore a certain topic. As people existing in a small communal space, you should discuss with each other. If one session is going to be dealing with sensitive themes and somebody doesn't want to be included, that's totally fine. They can come back to the session afterward. They should take whatever steps they need to protect themselves from themes they don't want to see, but they can't deny other people the opportunity to explore something that they need to. That is the actual thing that we're trying to avoid with Gallerie, because in other tables and other systems and other narratives, sometimes those things are just kind of like, this is too dark, or nobody else really wants to do this or get this, so you got to be kind of quiet about it, or we'll breeze over it, or even, nothing malicious intended. The guide or the DM or anything else that might go for it just might not really know how to approach a topic, and so the topic just kind of gets glazed. And the context of this environment is crafted such that these topics are kind of naturally approached within them, so that you will see things that speak to your life experience as a queer individual, as a trans individual, even as a minority individual dealing with bigotry and social systems that are familiar to you and are things that you actually have a lot of player agency to combat in this particular game. The final part of this section is literally an apology by me for my limited spectrum of existence. We're dealing with some pretty wide areas of intersectionality in Gallerie. I have a set of experiences in my life, but they are not every human experience. And I want people from experiences that are not mine to have a voice at this table the same way that I have created an environment for these voices. So it's basically giving you open season to be like, hey, if you need to include something in this system, in this game, in this world to help reflect your experience, do so. It's your book. It is. Do not rely on my limited existence to convey every aspect of the world's existence. It is me admitting that I will make mistakes, and I have certainly leveraged what resources I can to make sure that I'm trying to be, respectful and clear and considerate of every kind of existence that I can, but I will not get them all. And I want to just kind of upfront promote people who have had experiences that are not mine to tell their stories in Gallerie, because I want to backseat to them. I want to listen to them. I want tables to listen to them. And I don't want to have my lore or my environment speak over those stories. That's why this place exists, so that they'll get a chance to tell them.